Hi, my name is Al Green. Not that one, but the struggling guy who was in the music industry for years trying to sell talent and songs to agents. The agents befriended me and taught me techniques that I want to pass on to you through my program, which is called You Can Talk, You Can Sell. Anyone who has ever taken this program has excelled in selling and either risen to the top of their company, their team, or the top of their field. It's called You Can Talk, You Can Sell, and you can get it right here. Everybody has a spark of genius in us. We all have a hidden talent that we have either not developed or not even recognized. In the six-figure selling system, we're going to uncover what your hidden secrets are that make you the expert in something that you're interested in, and how to use that as your selling persona. Because everybody has some form of intelligence that they maybe relate to themselves, but not necessarily to other people. There have been hundreds of people that I've worked with that have come to me, and I find out that they know something, whether it's an absolute genius understanding of cars or sports or history. There's one client I have that does not tell you that he's a historian, but this guy knows more about history. I could mention almost any character from history, whether it's an ancient Greek or Roman or even Chinese, and he'll be able to tell me something. There's also a gentleman we used to call the word master, because we could open up the Oxford English Dictionary, which was, this thick, and pick any word at all, and he would know at least the relative meaning of it. And this is the kind of genius people have. Some people are great with spelling, but do you know that when you are doing sales, that you're using your expertise, whatever it is that you have that's unique to you, to basically open a conversation, continue the conversation, and meanwhile entertain while you're in conversation, using whatever unique talent you have. I know one guy that can't help it. He's just the most exciting guy. If I had this guy's personality, I would be worth $1 million, because every time you talk to him, he sounds like he's excited about everything. And it's just the way he is. It's something he can't even help. He has it from here. This guy would be an amazing host if he was on any show, any talk show, or he was even doing commercials. He's just a natural-born talker, the way he talks, and he doesn't even realize it. And when I tell him that, he basically looks at me and this great excited voice. When I give him a compliment, he goes, "What are you even talking about?" And he says it in this most amazing style that's not in any way threatening or confrontative. But we all have some way of communicating and getting through to people. And the biggest mistake that I see that common salespeople have that are struggling is that they don't utilize their own talent, because they have never been taught to make themselves aware of that talent, whatever it might be. The way to relate to people is to talk to them. When you hear about one of the things that they teach about in most sales training is something called mirroring. And I'm sure you're familiar with that term. Mirroring means that if somebody is doing a gesture or acting a certain way, you kind of copy it yourself, and it kind of psychologically identifies with the other person. So if you have a person that, for example, when they talk, they might like to touch their chin. I do that once in a while. They just touch their chin like this, or they go like this. And you might find a person, when you're talking to them, after a relaxed period of time when they've done this, and it's your turn to talk, you might want to do the same thing. Some people do it that way. I have a natural tendency that if I'm listening to somebody with a thick accent, it's like somehow I pick up just the smallest hints of that accent and it comes out of my speech and people can relate to me in a different way. I don't always come across like I'm my super excited friend. I come across more of a matter of fact that I found out what my talents are. The ability to communicate is based on some of the things that I've learned, like asking them questions and letting them do the talking. I have learned to be a good listener. When you're a good listener, you hear things and you can assimilate what they're saying. You don't just hear a lot of noise. A lot of people are not paying attention. What they hear when a person is talking is they hear just a lot of noise. They hear just talking, talking, talking. Just like if you have the TV on in the background and you're not paying attention to it, or if you have the radio on in the car and you're not paying attention to what the announcer is saying, it's just talking background noise. It's just a big wind of noise. And when that happens, you're not tuning in. You're actually tuning out. One of the key elements in sales is to tune into your prospect and totally focus on them. That means hear every word they say. So if they tell you, for example, that they're from St. Louis, you don't do the mistake next time you come back and say, are you from Chicago? Okay. You remember they said St. Louis. And if you mention, for example, the name of their wife or their spouse or their significant other, that could be something that is absolutely amazing to them. There was a client that I sold to years ago, and I did some consulting for about 10 years ago. And I didn't see, she moved to a different area and took on a role there. And when I saw this person again, I asked her, how is, and I gave the name of her spouse. And she was blown away. She goes, you remembered that? And I go, yeah, absolutely, you know. Well, I had spent probably, I don't know how many sessions over a year, maybe once a month, talking to this person and having conversations, and she was dropping little bits of information about her personal life. In the meantime, she had had a baby, and the baby was named Michelle. And I said, how's Michelle doing? And she was blown away because I hadn't seen her in like 5 years. And she, oh yeah, she's in kindergarten now. And she was amazed that I remembered. Now, the fact is, when I go back to see this particular client, if I have a reason to do business, I'm going to be received in a completely welcome way because of the fact that I maintained a personal memory about this person that brought me into identifying with them, and people like that. Now, maybe that's a hidden talent I have, is to remember mundane things that most people would just throw away. But I'm not going to throw it away, because look at what it did for me the last time I saw the client. I had something to sell, and that client purchased from me, and it was almost like she was buying from an old friend. And that's the rapport you want to develop. But that hidden talent inside of you might be something that you have yet to discover because you haven't really been taught how to explore it. And one of the things we do in the six-figure selling system is we explore who you are as a person and what you can do to develop yourself into sales, into marketing, into any kind of entrepreneurial, executive relationship with other people and networking or whatever. What is your hidden talent that people will automatically notice without you having to grandstand about it? In other words, you don't have to. You don't have to tell people this is what it is. I walked in to meet a group of people when I did a networking association meeting many years ago, and I didn't walk in and tell them all of my credits that I had from a different industry. That's not what you do. You don't walk around with a marquee on your head saying, this is who I am and this is what I've done. I actually met a guy years ago that got a ring for playing in a major sports team. And we were talking, and I said, where did you get that ring? You never told me you got that ring. And he said, I'm wearing the ring. Do I have to advertise it and tell you too? Okay. I mean, sometimes I ask a stupid question, but we do that. We do that in the effort of trying to relate to people, because that's the whole concept. Find out what is our hidden talent. We can use that to relate to people. If your hidden talent is, let's say you're a fantastic tennis player, and you meet a client and find out that they have an interest in tennis, you don't have to say, by the way, I'm an A player or whatever. You can just say, wow, I didn't know. And you talk about the person, not about yourself. I didn't know that you like tennis. I played tennis for years. Great. Where do you play? What do you do? And you might tell a person that they're involved with an organization or a team, or they play for charity, or they just play for their own fun. In many cases, it's like golf. People will play for their own fun. But when you have a developed talent, you use it as a natural form of just being. You don't have to broadcast it to people. You just be natural. But everybody has a hidden talent, a hidden genius in them, and we all need to develop what that is. And you will learn that when you join me in the six-figure selling system. So join me then. I'll see you then.